Good afternoon, Griffins. Mr. Crewcock here, and I just wanted to take a few minutes to discuss what we're going to be looking at in maths in Year 5 for this half term. So our main focus is going to be on number and place value. We've already started this over the last couple of days and have also explored things such as Roman numerals. But one of the main priorities is rounding. Not only do we need to round any number to a million, to the nearest 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000 and 100,000, we also need to learn how to solve problems involving rounding, as well as read, write and ordering and comparing numbers of up to at least a million, to count backwards, forwards and steps of 10 of any given number up to a million. And we're also going to be exploring negative numbers in context. That's just a very brief overview of what we're going to be looking at. But if we look at the board here, I wanted to show you a brief demonstration of how we round within a million. So on the board, I have the number 789,436. 6 is in our ones column. 3 is in our tens column, as we have 3 lots of 10, which is 30. 4 is in our hundreds column. 9 is in our thousands. 8 is in our 10,000s. And 7 is in our 100,000s. Now, let's say I wanted to round to the nearest 10. In order to do this, I first need to find the digit that is in the tens column. In this case, 3. I will then have to look to the digit on the right, 6. Now, when we round, we have to decide whether we round up or whether our number stays the same. You may have heard this as rounding down, but I don't like to say rounding down, as it can sometimes make children think that we need to change the number, maybe take one away from it, and that's not true. What we mean by saying round up is we increase the number in the tens column by 1, and if it stays the same, the digit stays the same. If a value is 5 or greater, then we round up. If it is less than 4, we round down or stays the same. So, to round to the nearest 10, we look to the tens column and look to the digit on the right. It's a 6, that is greater than 5, therefore we round up. So, all of the digits to the left of the tens column will stay the same. 7, 8, 9, 4. But the tens rounds up by 1, so that 3 becomes a 4. And then our ones becomes 0. As we have rounded to the nearest 10, a multiple of 10 will always have a 0 in the ones column. Now, let's say we round to the nearest 100. We would do the exact same thing, except we would start by looking at the hundreds column. Our hundreds column has a 4. We look to the digit on the right. It's a 3. Is 3 5 or greater? No, it is not. It's less. Therefore, it will stay the same. We will round down. So, all of the digits to the left of the hundreds column stay the same, just like 4, 7, 8, 9. Our 4 will stay the same. And all of the digits to the right become a 0, because any multiple of 100 will have 0 tens and 0 ones. We'll do one more example before saying goodbye. Let's say we wanted to round to the nearest 100,000. Okay, so we would look to the 100,000s column, which is 7, and we look to the digit on the right, 8. 8 is greater than 5, therefore we are going to round up. Now, there are no digits to the left of the 100,000 columns, there's nothing to keep the same. And the 7, because we are rounding up, has to increase by 1, becoming an 8. Because this is a multiple of 100,000, every other digit must become 0. Therefore, 789,436 rounded to the nearest 100,000 would equal 800,000. We're going into this in more depth over the next few weeks. Bye for now.
Good afternoon, Year 5 families. It's Mrs. Quick here, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about our English for this half term. In reading, we're going to be looking at a book called Cosmic by Frank Cottrell Boyce, which is a book that fits in really nicely with our space topic. We're going to be looking at that because reading is really, really important, okay? And we do a lot of reading in school, and we also encourage to do a lot of reading at home through just reading a book, reading for pleasure, or through our MyOn platform. To help your child with their reading, it would be really, really useful if you're reading with them, look for text clues. If a child doesn't understand what a word means, look at it in the context of the sentence. Can they work out what it means from the clues that are all around it? That would be really, really super useful. In our writing for this half term, we're going to be looking at a variety of genres, including a diary entry, a formal letter and a newspaper report. We're going to be looking at the differences between formal and informal writing and when we use them both. We're also going to be looking at things in our grammar lessons like parentheses, relative clauses and when to use semicolons. To help with our newspaper report, it would be really, really handy if children could do some research about the Apollo 11 moon landing. What's happened? Why did it happen? When did it happen? Include those 5 W's. They are things that are going to be included in our newspaper report. So any research that the child can do would be absolutely amazing, thank you. If you do some research, if your children could bring it in on some paper, we can put it up on display or pop it onto Seesaw. That would be great. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Mrs. Quick here again. I'm here to talk to you about our creative curriculum, which is all of the topics that we cover in the afternoons. I'm going to start by talking a little bit about our history for this half term. Now in history, we're going to be talking more about our topic, which is all about stargazers. We're going to be looking at the space race, which historically was between the USA and the USSR. We're going to also be looking at the works of a very famous astronomer called Galileo. In geography, we're going to be using maps, atlases, globes, computer mapping to locate countries. But we're not just going to rely on maps and atlases to work out countries. We're also going to see if we can locate countries just by their shape. Some countries are very famous because they're of certain shape and they're easier to pick out than others. In our science, it's going to follow on from our topic work with stargazers. It coincides this week with Science Week, so we were looking at all things space in our Science Week this half term. We're going to be looking at the universe, the cosmos, planets, everything. Okay. We're also going to be looking in computing. We're going to be looking at understanding of computer systems, how information is transferred between different devices. We live in a digital age and it's really important that children learn how these things actually work. We're going to be discovering how information is found on the World Wide Web and how to use search engines safely. Online safety is a big focus with this school this half term. We're also going to be looking at art. Art is also connected with our space theme, and we're going to be researching a very significant artist, Peter Thorpe, who is really, really famous for his art to do with space. We're also going to be looking at ways that we can create tint, tone and shade using pastels, doing that work. That's just a few of the things that we'll be doing in our creative curriculum during this half term. Thank you for listening.